if you want AI to work, you need to know the pieces of it.
For organizations to actually make it work, I would spend a lot of time to create skills. I would spend a lot of time to create knowledge files on what we need to do, our policies, and then our documents that we need, that the LLM needs to read. And then I would spend a lot of time to understand what is the business workflows.
If there's one thing you should do immediately tomorrow, is start using a broad range of AI tools. AI will not fix your bad habits. You give someone who is not intentional about their work all the right tools, and they will still do a bad job.
AI should not feel like magic, right? It should not feel like magic. Wow, like like it's generating an image, or wow, my PPT is done. Oh wow, this is done. Like it's sort of like that that kind of cycle. I've seen a lot of people get into, and a lot of organizations get into.
If you are on Slack, Gmail, Claude, N10, and Linear, I love you.
Thank you, Day. So we're live. First time we're doing this. How are you doing, Vinay?
I'm doing good.
Oh.
I actually thought the recording was at 7:15, so I was on a nice walk. And then
we've been having this 15-minute scheduling issues this week.
Yeah, I know. And and then I was on a nice walk. And suddenly it's like, oh, Post AI Nation starting in 10 minutes.
Okay.
So I did my first jog in a few weeks.
Yeah, but thank you everyone who's joined in today's session. It's just a new thing for us. So very, very excited to go through this. But before we do, Post AI Nation, as you know, we're doing this because we believe that Nepal as a country needs a new tech culture in the post-AI world. But the conversations that could spark the shift aren't really happening yet. And that is sort of our role that we see to play in this entire picture. So through Post-AI Nation, we want to host these conversations and empower the tech and business ecosystem in Nepal to seize this AI opportunity. Now, it's been a lovely learning experience for us as well, but then it's amazing to share what we are doing with the broader audience. So but how was the week for you?
The week was mixed.
Mm-hmm.
I think we are in this weird dual role of transforming our own organizations and helping other organizations transform them as well, right? And getting obviously everything ready in this hyper competitive time that's just started. Everybody thinks AI is here, but we had this conversation today, right? We're just getting started. The world hasn't really seen the impact of AI yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it's going to be huge, especially the generative AI. But yeah, so exciting. And then what else happened last week? Yeah, and one more thing. I think the last week was me again going back to the realization. I end up with that realization every week, but last week was again another addition to that realization that I need to start doing more work myself instead of seeing myself as a delegator. So yeah, so much of the old management practices, right, that you have to be a good delegator, like everything's dead. All management advice is dead and needs to be rethought of.
Yeah,
I mean, that's where I am.
I think it makes a lot of sense, like almost like the human middleware that is there, that organizations use for a really, really long time to actually manage people. Now, when the fundamental question is about the work that we do and then how we get the work done, and then everything's getting reshaped, so the old management practices also sort of gets changed. One thing that you've heard me say in the workshops as well is the idea of intelligence, right? Because like when in the past, when we needed some expertise, we had to sort of like hire people, place them in specific roles. Like someone is a growth marketer, someone is a product manager, someone is like a developer. But now suddenly the intelligence layer is the very first time that it can we can drive that to the business logic. So once we drive that to the business logic, the idea of hiring someone to download the expertise the person has to the business logic is sort of dissipating, right? Obviously it's a work in progress, but it's sort of dissipating. And But what for that reality to actually unfold, the understanding of what business we are in, how the business runs, what are the different steps of that business, so it becomes so much important. And I think as founders, no one else is going to have that clarity of how the business is going to run, right? So that's sort of like emerging, and it's become more and more powerful over the past few weeks, and that's sort of where I am right now.
You have a amazing ability of overcomplicating things, Alok. Like it's magical.
It comes from where I stand, because I want to see the things through completely. Obviously, like it has to be simplified. It has to be simplified, and then that's sort of the experience that we are having. But then again, if we had to simplify it, how would you simplify it?
No, the whole time you were saying all of this, I was kind of in a trance, and I'm sure a lot of people have that experience. Is this guy is saying something really smart that I should be able to understand, but I am not. Like you get the feeling that this is important, right? Like what you're saying, because of the gravity of your voice and how passionate you are about it. But I think it's the long words and then the long winded.
Maybe I need to join
Oh
Toastmasters.
yeah, yeah. No, you need a bit of roasting. You need roast masters.
You have been doing that quite a lot.
I've been doing that quite a lot. I will continue to do it until I fix you.
No. Yeah, I think like
But
you're saying something.
I think so. There was a project in 2014 which I did, like when I was in my early days as a software engineer, where the whole architecture of the project was the main system was in Java, right? And the Java portion of the project was the job was only to receive input from the user, right? And then once it got the input, it collected all the data from the database, the input data from the database. So you can imagine a very simple tool that takes an ID, right? A Java program that takes an ID, queries a database, gets the data for that ID, right? And then based on that data, certain analysis had to be done. Now that analysis wasn't done in Java; it was done in a programming language called R. So Java would hand off that data to R, and R would all the calculations were done in R, and that R program was being written by business people, right? So R is like more of a business friendly programming language that was actually built for non-technical people who wanted kind of the advantages of a programming language, but a structure that felt more similar to English, right? So they had written all the business logic. It would use standard deviation and all of that, like all the statistical processes to generate some output, right? And the idea was that for Java would again collect that output from R, and kind of the business. So the business logic was separated from the application logic, right? I was writing this architecture in 2014, where this whole idea, like I was introduced to this idea for the first time, where kind of the application logic called the business logic, and the business logic did its thing and sent data back to the application logic, right? That's what agents are.
I mean, like, exactly.
And what's beautiful, what's happened since then in the last 10 or 12 years is, especially in the last 3 years, is now we don't even need R, right? Now we can do that in English. And I saw that you remember in the last workshop when we asked a few people to give their feedback, and they said, oh, I don't need to go to IT anymore, right? As long as I have Copilot, Gemini, whatever, I don't need to go to IT for the smallest tasks. I think that's such an empowering idea. and then the people who gave me the task of writing that software in 2014 and who gave me a salary for writing that software in 2014, I probably wouldn't get that salary if the technology today was available then. So this whole agentic architecture is so huge, and it's just the beginning. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen when lots more people, and the opportunity for the big organizations that can create this workflow architecture securely, right? Like the Microsofts and the Googles and the Amazons and the Palantirs of this world. They are building the shovels. Like, they are gonna make money.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to make insane amounts of money from this. The model companies and the people building the harnesses on top of the models. So yeah, this is something really interesting. Is should now, I don't know, like, should we be building the harness?
I think the discussion that we had about system of records, right? System of records. That's what we should be building in today's time. In my perspective, system of records have real value because that is very intuitive for large language model to actually traverse through, bring value out of it. Systems of record connecting to agents, connecting to workflows is very seamless, and I think that has value, right? So I think, but then again, everyone would have different perspectives, and obviously we'll look around the ecosystem that we have as well. What can we build the resources that we have? Like, for some, building a foundation model is a great idea because everything's sort of based on top of it. But then when I look at where I stand, my bet is on system of records, and that's sort of the direction that I'm going to take. The other thing that I'm finding like very exciting is that I've not seen agencies getting like funded by VCs so much in the past. That sort of looks like a trend that is like really coming up, because everyone sort of understands that the translation of especially large legacy organizations to the agentic world is going to be crazy. And then that is where the technical workforce is not really housed. So I've seen a lot of VCs actually funding agencies right now, which is very interesting for me to see at this. But then my bet is on systems of record. But then agency in today's time of AI, for AI enablement, I think it's not a bad idea either.
Really, like I mean, agencies have always been funded well, like the McKinseys, the Big Fours, the
I mean, like,
Deloittes.
not
I
fun.
mean, they were doing digital transformation. Now they're doing AI transformation, right? Like,
I mean, like, not the McKinsey's and Deloitte kind of agencies, but then the
the
smaller
smaller
agencies
ones.
who are building like startups, them getting funded, and then very credible people actually starting agencies. Because there is a real big gap, right? Because especially the large non-technical world to come to the agentic side. Obviously, there is this one picture about the people getting replaced, people needing to get upskilled, the systems needing to reboot themselves and then get better. In all of that transition, someone like there would be people who would be needed in that transition. There would be work that has been needed on that transition, and it's a huge transition. And I think people are seeing a lot of business there as well.
This is such an interesting conversation because in the past 3 or 4 years, I've been running. In fact, in the last 7 years, I've been running this dual life with running an agency on the side and running programming both at the same time. Right? So one as an operator and another as an agency, and both have their own kind of fun.
That's the way to go now.
That's the way to go. Not sure. I think. Again, sometimes you gotta put your heads down and as an operator, you just gotta focus on one thing. I think what's more common in the Western world is you don't do both at the same time. You have a stint as an operator, and then you kind of run an agency for some time, and then again you become an operator and agency, and some life as a adjunct professor in the middle. and we talked about this, right? This is not in common in Nepal. Like an operator keeps on operating, agency keeps on doing agency, a professor keeps on becoming a professor. Kind of, there's so much you can learn from. I think you should be
Yeah,
reinventing yourself every
absolutely,
2 years.
absolutely
I
right.
don't know.
Because and then the other part also is that we needed to manage a lot of people to run these kind of things in the past, right? Which is not the case right now. I think like the other experience that I'm really feeling, and probably you agree to it as well. There's the so there is intelligence that is there, like the ChatGPTs and then the Claudes and the Geminis of the world, which are operating at a certain level. It is actually creating a really really big gap between the people that you can actually work with, and then the people which is very very difficult to work with. Obviously you need to put a lot of effort, but then I have seen a lot getting accomplished with very 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 small teams, and especially in the work that I'm doing. I'm almost at a stage where I'm like, I don't know. I don't like. There is one experience of talking to Claude, and then and refining the processes. But I found a lot of value in having one person on the side working on the same project, and then using Claude. I think there's a good feedback loop. Like you don't go into the entire Google land of like Claude with self validating yourself all the
Mhm.
time. And then there is a good
Yeah.
feedback check over there. But then and a bit of extension over it, just that unit can produce so much work, right? And then you don't have to manage people. And then when that is a reality, then handling work as an agency, handling work as a product sort of becomes like pretty interchangeable, because now you're not managing people, we are just like dialed down into thought processes. So that is something that I see changing, right?
That's very interesting. So I worked in India for
Yeah.
2 years, right? And then there's this idea of the kisser employee who, whose entire career, people like built entire careers on
Yeah.
kissing, right? And I think now people are like, oh, I have Claude to kiss my you know. So in a way, like Claude or the chat GPTs have replaced that function, validation
And
function for
I mean,
which
in the
you
AI
were
world, ChatGPT is, I think, like that kind of that tool. Yeah,
that
Claude,
employee.
Claude, I think like Claude, I don't think so.
I think Claude kisses your in a very subtle way, like you're
Hmm.
right, for example, every
Yeah.
sentence, you're right. And then it confidently says something and you say you were wrong, and it's like you're right. But then if I was right now, I was wrong before, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, I think this kind of language has been built into Claude and
Yeah.
ChatGPT. They must have tested lots of things out, and they must have realized that this kind of self validation for the user ends up in longer
Yeah.
conversations. Is it good for you?
No, I
Maybe
mean, like
not. Maybe.
one thing that I experienced recently, and it took me back to like 6 7 years ahead before in my life, is when I actually left Isaac and I came to Nepal. I suddenly came to a space, like from a suddenly hyper exposed world to I came to a place where people were not thinking very freely. Most of the people, right? There were obviously some people in the like in the ecosystem, and I really struggled to actually connect back to the ecosystem because I was not feeling the same wavelength. If Claude was there at that point of time, I would not. I don't think I would have had that struggle, because I definitely have a sparring partner. But then if I keep on working just with that sparring partner, then it just like doesn't do a good job. But then as a base intelligence, I think it's really good. The place that I'm coming there from is that when I share something, the person in the front can only agree to me to the amount of work that they have done themselves, right? Or they have been exposed to. It's very very difficult to someone to really get what we are saying if the person is not at the same wavelength or not have experienced similar stuff. But that's not the case with these LLMs, right? You can actually talk to these LLMs, be at the same rhythm. The more complicated you can get, they can keep on getting more complicated. So as a base intelligence, I'm finding it very very helpful. But I think the most productive I've seen myself be is that when I'm sitting with someone else and then we are working on Claude together, and then we are creating that feedback loop where we are not getting into too much consumed by the the validation of these engines. That's been my experience.
Mhm. Yeah. Uh, I think two ideas were crossing my mind when you were saying these things. One about access to intelligence, right? I think this is something that, for example, to an engineer in Nepal or a marketer in Nepal or whatever function you are in, a banker, an artist, whatever, you might feel whenever you feel that, oh, I don't have
Yeah.
access to people, or I don't have access to intelligent people. I always say that today is like it's the world of the internet. We are very fortunate to be born at this time, and then you can listen to the founder of Dropbox, Twitter. All of these people are just search for their interviews on YouTube or Spotify or whatever you use. Like none of these are payment gated, right? So it's also like your hunger for intelligence took you to Claude, and like that is your kind of flavor, right? It seems you like using Claude as your source of higher intelligence. For me, I like listening to human voices a lot. So for me, it's going to podcasts and listening to all these, like all the trailblazers in my industry, because I think what because for you the source of confidence is like, if Claude is saying this, all right, Claude has the accumulated knowledge as a large language model. It has the accumulated knowledge of the internet, so obviously it knows everything, right? For me, kind of the reason I trust the source is, again, when the founders and the like high performing people in the largest organizations of the world, if they're saying something, obviously there must be some process by which they reach the top, right? Some selection criteria from which they reach the top. So it's very important to consume the best content, right? Again, you can you remember I was doom scrolling today and you're like, is that TikTok? And I was like, yeah, I like the brain rot.
and I see Pragalva, I hope I pronounce the name correctly, saying AI psychosis is already at the doorstep and we are not careful. I mean it's there, right? It's already there. And I was saying in the workshop recently as well that we may be domain experts in like maybe 2% of the things that exist in the world, or maybe not, right? Maybe not even that. And then we query everything on these engines right now, and then obviously wherever we are domain experts, obviously we'll be able to intervene because we have that knowledge. But then wherever we are not domain experts, it's gonna slide, and then we'll never know what is gonna happen. And that's probably one of the reasons why the system of records is very powerful as an idea, because I sort of see large language models as just like models that have language ability and some reasoning ability, because at the end of it, the background is just mathematics, right? Background is mathematics, and everything is sort of like a prediction that is coming out. But then the model has gotten better because of the knowledge that they have. That it's great as a sparring partner, but then I've been very, very careful to not get into it just on my own, like if you remember in the last workshop, I was like, I've been thinking, I want to show you something, and you were like, you've been thinking a lot. That's the reason, like, because I know that these tools can get you into a place where you sort of create your own la la land, and then it doesn't help. And I think everyone is experiencing it right now.
And while I am excited about the LLM piece of it, obviously getting better, I am actually more excited about the tools that LLMs can use. For example, transcription, right? You see the quality with which WhisperFlow transcribes your audio, and it's just mind blowing, isn't it? So now it's not just about the LLM increase in quality of the LLM, but transcription, the ability and that's not LLM technology, right? That's separate, like that's pure machine learning. Obviously, transcription has a combination, like some piece of LLM as well, but it is mainly pre-ChatGPT technology that's gotten way better. Then there is optical character recognition, right? You give a photo and kind of before the LLM acts on it, obviously that image gets converted to text in some way. or when you upload a PDF, right? So optical character recognition. Then there is like stuff like Perplexity Computer, where the tool is the ability of the LLM to open a browser or get access to your computer, act as you
Yeah.
on your behalf on a computer. Then there's all these MCP, right? MCPs, which is kind of they looked at what tools does an LLM typically need to be powerful, meaning what access does data access does an LLM need to be useful to me, and then they build this kind of common language for tools to access data stored in
Yeah.
third-party systems, right? So MCPs. So again, as more and more companies adopt this MCP system or CLI, whatever, all of this, as more and more more technologies get built or modified to support this agentic access, and the base layer, again, transcription, the ability that OCR, text to speech. I talked about speech to text, but also text to speech, right? Video generation. So these are all tools that LLM has access to, right? And if you look at the plethora of tools that LLM, the number of tools is increasing, the quality of each tool is increasing. Like, for example, the ability of an LLM to generate PowerPoint,
Yeah.
for example. So even that's a tool, right? If you think about it,
Yeah.
or a capability. Microsoft calls
Yeah.
them capabilities, but the general purpose word
Yeah.
being tools, or the ability of an LLM to generate a PDF, for example. And as a software developer, that was the most painful code to write, like a piece of code that generated a PDF, a piece of code that generated an Excel sheet.
Sorry to interrupt, because like maybe PDF is not the right frame also, right? Because let's say PDF is just a form of document that someone is reading, and then the information is getting transferred in that sort of like a logged document that everyone can share. Do we need PDFs in a AI world? Probably it's just an artifact that is rendered, right? Like,
Yes, but the tool that generates that
yeah,
artifact, it's still the
yeah.
LLM
No, no,
using a tool, and that tool is getting better. That tool is getting
but I
better.
also see the translation becoming different as well, just like the PDF to artifact. Let's say, for example, the way Claude creates the artifact that looks like a presentation is not a PDF, right? And this was a discussion that I was
Yeah,
having with
yeah.
my team as well. We were like, okay, in content units, maybe we need some PDFs and stuff like that. But then we suddenly realized that, okay, do we really need it? Like, at the end, people just need to read it, right? And it can be in any format, and the more AI native format it is, and the more easy is it for the agents, is better for us, and we don't need to process a lot of information.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the idea of the single page
Yeah.
HTML, and I think they, even the creators of the web, like the big companies, even created a format called, I think it was called MHTML or something. But there was this push of a single file HTML. Then that sort of went away. Maybe that
Yeah.
will come back, because it makes sense, right? Like HTML is I think HTML, CSS, and JavaScript combined, and maybe just HTML and CSS for the purpose of artifacts, and a little
Yeah.
bit of JS in
Yeah.
one file. Right now, because that idea of a single page HTML disappeared for some time, the reason you don't share it is it's not supported
Yeah.
by many devices. But as soon as that support comes in, like you're able to share an HTML file with someone
Yeah.
easily, and if you know that because PDFs are so powerful, because everyone can every system on earth knows
Yeah.
how to render a PDF.
Yeah.
Right? On the day, like every system in the world knows how to render an HTML file. It's obviously the better presentation layer than PDFs, unless you need to send it off to a printer. At which
I
point
mean,
everything comes to a halt when you have to print something.
technologies will evolve. Anyways, but I think the other thing that, like, I think you've been very passionate about, that I think everything is headed, is also how the hardwares are going to change, right? Now,
Yeah.
and that seems to be interesting. Okay, so we put the topic AI that works, and yeah, let's start taking like AI as at AI that works. What are your thought processes? Like, what do you think is the AI that really works, and what do you think that the AI that truly doesn't work?
So what I've been learning in the past few weeks is, again, you got to separate the LLM from the skill, right? And the knowledge and the tools and the harness that does everything. The common example I've been giving, and then I think that's it, right? If you want AI to work, you need to know the pieces of it. And then just like for example, for someone who doesn't know about websites or web apps, they will say, I need a web app, right? But someone who kind of understands web apps, who knows that there is a front end, there's a back end, there's a database, and then there's a server hosting it, right? Now that person can have a richer conversation around web apps. Does that make sense?
And I
So AI has the same kind of structure, and it's now only being revealed that AI seems to have this common language, and once you adopt that common language, once you understand the pieces of it, the ingredients of it, in a way, right? Like I always talk about the idea of a burger, and kind of being able to, like, okay, as someone who doesn't care, you can eat the burger, but then if you want to build a better burger, you better understand all the layers of it and how each layer is built, right? Because even if one layer is kind of rotten, the whole burger gets rotten.
Yeah, makes sense. I think one of the biggest things that I've seen in my like 3.5 years of being in upskilling, and this has been a problem since day one, is that we've gone from search to chat. Same behavior is sort of transmitting, but then the framework that is on the back, the technology that is on the back, is very, very different, right? And we are sort of like translating the same behavior, and then in that process, what is happening is that the generative engines are making our life a lot more easier, at least in terms of perception, and then we are getting sucked into it more and more without really understanding the layer, right? Because at the end, it's a language model, and that's it, right? It is not something really powerful. So for it to for organizations to actually make it work, I would spend a lot of time to create skills. I would spend a lot of time to create knowledge files on what we need to do, our policies, and then our documents that we need, that the LLM needs to read. And then I would spend a lot of time to understand what is the business workflows. That is the other thing that I've seen a lot of struggle around, because we understand things in chunks. We think we understand in workflows, but then it's like big chunks, like I need to process a loan, means like, okay, I need to get this document and process everything. But then there are smaller details of that process as well. What document to match for what information, what are the thresholds, who to give loan, who to not give loan. And there are so many other details to this process as well, which on a workflow language needs to be understood. And once that is done, then we can start the conversation of how we can actually use AI, right? Otherwise, it is just going to be a question of how powerful the foundation model is. Can I dump that into a foundation model and then it can produce results? But then the real question, the real engineering challenge is how well you can define the skills, how well you can define the knowledge, and what is the most cost effective model that you can use without having to use very higher tier external models, right? If you can use a model that is housed within you, then the concerns about privacy and everything goes out of the window as well. And then it's just a lot sustainable in terms of cost as well, right? So that's the direction that I have been thinking generally.
Yeah, and it's, when you talk about it like that, there's really no content that teaches this stuff on the internet. I mean, there's a lot of content, but either it's very high level, like that would be completely out of the league for many people, or it is like pure hype, right? AI is coming to take your jobs, like that kind of. So I think there's also this huge content gap between where the technology has reached and kind of nobody. I mean, obviously there must be a paid content out there, because again, always free content lags behind paid content, right? A lot of people are kind of able to follow the right people on Twitter, people on the edge, and kind of parse what's happening. That's not applicable for everyone. So yeah, there's also this huge, massive, which we are discovering in the workshops, is there's this huge content lag, because all this conversation, like people are picking up keywords, agents and GPUs and kind of all of the like data centers and all of that, and they're not able to contextualize what that really
Yeah.
means.
That's a that's a fairly
Yeah.
big problem. I see this problem with policy workers. I see this problem even with tech people. I see, obviously, we would have this problem with non-technical people, because this AI is so different, and the barrier to entry is like so low. It's so funny, right? Especially for an organization, sorry, for a place like Nepal, the barrier to entry to write a skill file, to write a knowledge file, to understand the workflow, to engineer a workflow, so many people can do it, right? But I think this right mental frame of how all of this is, that is what is sort of lacking in a widespread education. Obviously, like there are a lot of like really good content, hosted by some
Yeah.
amazing people, where these things are discussed. Like I really like what this guy Ed Donner teaches in his curriculum. I've been following his content for quite some time, and then very good frames of work. And then it's not really costly even on Udemy. But then again, it has an engineering sort of direction to it. But then for the non-technical people, it's AI. And then the conversation that are happening over here is that AI will do this, AI will do that, AI can do everything. But then what kind of AI? Are we talking about models? Are we talking about LLMs? Are we talking about prediction models? What is the kind of AI that we are talking about? So this sort of ambiguity, and then the spectrum is getting wider, because the applications are getting faster, and then the amount of non-technical people on this side of the spectrum is like huge, right? And then
Mhm.
the gap is so big now. The gap is really big, and that's one of the reasons why that I've also struggled myself on translating the frontier very quickly
Mhm.
to the to the non-technical people. 2.5 years ago, it was a lot easier, because the elements of the technology
Mhm.
was not that complicated. But now, when it is got to an organization level, an organization redesign level, when you have to look back from there and then take non-technical people
Yeah.
to that sort of a mindset, it's it's I mean, like, we have to be so creative to actually make it work in like a very short time, right?
And then I think there's two ways to think about
Yeah.
that education. One is for someone who is stuck using
Yeah.
ChatGPT. They need, like Coursera is doing a
Yeah.
great job of this, is I will give you exposure to 30 different
Yeah.
AI tools
Yeah.
in 30 days, like 15 minutes per day, 30 minutes per day, 15 minutes per day. And then you use ChatGPT, you use Gamma, you use
Yeah.
Gumloop, you use Lovable, you use Suno AI for music, and then basically you use a broad spectrum of
Yeah.
AI tools just to experience AI in all its glory. There's that. I think that is one legit way of training yourself on AI, right? Just get out of ChatGPT and try as many. Like if you look at
Yeah.
multi-model, right?
Yeah.
For example, if you look at, so you use AI to, or like general purpose ChatGPT, then you use Gamma to create presentations, right?
Yeah.
Then you
Yeah.
use Midjourney to create an image.
Yeah.
Then you use what else? Can we list out kind of, okay, Gumloop to run some
Yeah.
automation. Then you use something like Grepser to scrape a website,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Then you use something else, because just using AI in kind of all the multi-model
Yeah.
ways builds this perspective of it's just a prompt, but then it can do so many things. And I think it can be a great method of uh, opening someone's eyes to, like, ChatGPT isn't the only thing, and kind of creating the right mindset for people to understand the different layers of it. And then there is the kind of the way we teach AI, which is like separating the layers, right? Peeling the layers of the
Yeah.
onion. Is there is an LLM foundation model in the inside, then there is a chat UI
Yeah.
on top, and then there's kind of context which comes in the form of skills, knowledge, and whatever attachment you give for that
Mhm.
session, whatever things you might want to attach. And then there's workflows. So how does this fit
Mhm.
into a larger process, right? And then agents, workflows, all of that. Like so we take a very kind of almost a theoretical approach, which is like almost like a university graduate equivalent, right? Which is like you build very deep foundational concepts of AI so that given any AI tool, you can do a better job than you would be able to
Yeah.
do. No, that's
Because,
like ours is very
because like
foundational.
if you remember in the workshop, we took them through the process, and then the moment they were introduced to a tool, the speed at which they were able to process
Yeah,
was very, very fast, right? And that's great, because the idea is first principles, right? We have to understand what are the different elements of it, and then put them together, because AI should not feel like magic, right? It should not feel like magic. Wow, like, like it's generating an image, or wow, my PPT is done, or wow, or this is done. Like it's sort of like that kind of cycle. I've seen a lot of people get into, and a lot of organizations get into, and that is where the real value is not. Because what would happen if everyone in the organization is getting some, let's say, chat gpt license, and everyone is sort of using it, and everyone is sort of in that loop of, okay, I can do this, I can do that. Yes, the exposure is great, but then the amount of AI slop debt that it is going to create over time for the organization to manage is just insane, right? So I think that
yeah,
part is also, and that's one of the reasons why I really sort of like to take it on a first principles method. I would
yeah.
maybe not take it for any other thing, or maybe I would, but then for, especially for AI training, it's so important to just, like, as we said, peel the layers so that people can see it.
No, but I think the problem with the way we teach the workshops is it. I feel like at least it needs expert
Yeah,
facilitation, right? Versus the other method, which is like let's just give people access to a broad
yeah,
range of
yeah,
AI tools, and then have them build the kind of their own version of, all right, what are the common parallels between all the
yeah,
tools that I
yeah,
used, right? And then you could start with kind of, all right, chat gpt, and
yeah,
then gamma, and then kind of suno, right? The
yes,
simpler ones, and then progressively you could go to
yeah,
workflows. So you can either take a tool based approach, or you can take the more foundational approach that we take in
yeah,
our workshops. I think there's no
yeah,
right way. I think for some people that tool based approach, because for me, if you look at my own AI journey, I think Lovable was the tool that unlocked
hmm,
AI for me. I told you that story, right? I used to read what, like, how Lovable was thinking about websites, and because of my own experience in
yeah,
website building, I
yes,
kind of geeked out over how it was managing the context, and then I decided to take the context away from Lovable. So kind of uh, uh, nobody
yeah,
taught me that, but then just having used a tool that was not ChatGPT, if I would have never gotten that unlock if I was on
yeah,
stuck on ChatGPT. So just using a broad range of tools can also open up a lot of things. So if someone is listening to this podcast live, or the
yeah.
recorded version, uh, if there's one thing you should do immediately tomorrow, is start using a broad range of AI tools.
I think the small
um,
caveat over here is that you mentioned you built websites before, and then you started building this with Lovable, and once that, and then you started reading what Lovable was actually writing, right? I think people should use AI tools if they are using it for things that they are expert at, or they have like very, very heavy domain expertise on, so that they can understand the nuances of what is happening over here, because that sort of understanding translates pretty rapidly, right? I think Punit is frozen. Ashutosh, can you hear me? I think Punit is okay. Okay, I'll wait for. I think, yeah, I think his internet sort of went off. Anything, Pragalva or Ashutosh, thoughts on Codex? I use very less of Codex, to be honest. I use a lot of Claude code to write. But I think it's the same thing, right? It's like Apple, Samsung, doesn't really matter. It just needs to get the job done. Yeah, I mean, because at the end of it, it's a language model. Um, have you tried? I use a lot of Claude Code. I've tried Codex, but then I use a lot of Claude Code to build anything that I'm building right now. So might not be the absolutely right person to tell you exactly the nuances of Codex, because I compared both of these tools at the beginning, and then I like Claude Code, and then I've been on it since then. So I've not found a reason to not use it. So yeah, that's sort of where I am with that. Progolo is like, have you tried slash goal? I don't really understand. Like, can you please elaborate, Progolo?
Yeah, I'm back. I'm back. Hello.
Oh, okay. Slash goal. Okay, like in Cloud Code, you mean? Yeah, I mean, like Cloud Code is very powerful. Like we're just talking to the comments over here, which is very interesting. This is our first time, and there are some comments. Thank you so much, guys, for coming. Uh, do you want to talk about Codex or Cloud Code? Your thoughts on that? That's what we're discussing on.
Um, I think cursor codex, the tooling harness layer on top of the LLMs.
Yeah,
Again, they are just tools, right? I think you can have one preference over the other. It's like I don't know, Android versus iPhone, like,
yeah,
or
exactly.
Mac versus Lenovo.
Hmm.
I have seen, and we were having this conversation where, like, there was this some meeting where, like, all the C level of different IT companies were there, and almost everybody was using a Mac.
Yeah.
Uh, and weirdly, I have seen a lot of Silicon Valley companies like use Lenovo with
Hmm.
Linux setup.
Yeah.
Meaning, like, it's just a preference. I think the fundamentals are more important. What you do with the tool is more important
Mhm.
than the tool itself. Everybody has certain preferences. Yeah, and we can't get stuck on the tool level, no.
Yeah, we can get
I
stuck.
think.
And the questions that Pragal is mentioning about goal, and then like mentioning about loop as well. So this is where I am, because this is the conversation that I was having to my with my tech team just like 2 hours ago. Um,
Mhm.
uh, I don't want to let AI, because I'm building a deep tech startup. I don't want to let AI get things totally out of control. I want to be able to understand the variables really, really well. I don't need to get into the code on line by line and write the code line by line. That's not the place we are. But then I'm not ready to actually leave AI to write everything on loops, and then in the process of achieving the goal, right? But then this is how I operate right now. So we spend a lot of time on writing something called the source document, and that document has everything. Like that document has everything that the company is, everything that we are intending to build, the dependencies, everything is there in the document. We sort of create the spec files out of it, and then we are going step by step on building the agentic systems after that. Because my thesis right now is that we need to be able to control the documents that are actually impacting the software really well, and that is a non-negotiable. Once that is done, I think the software will take care of itself, and then obviously we probably have to do some QA at the back. But then I'm not really at a place where I'm like using loops on top of an agents.md or and things like that. Just checking if Pragalpa was on the same page with what I just mentioned. Please drop it on the chat. Okay. Yeah.
And then all of these things, the loop, and like, all of these are kind of people, like Gary Tan's G Stack, for example.
Yeah.
Uh, so obviously, when something cool comes out, people start building their own frameworks on top of. Just like we're in kind of the world where the JavaScript of web development was there, but it took a lot of time for React to become the de facto standard
Yeah.
of front ends. Then it took a lot of time for kind of Next.js, like Express, to win the backend, right? And then it took a lot of time for Next.js to kind of win this entire server side rendering battle. Lots of products came and went, and now kind of it took a lot of time for Supabase to
Yeah.
win the agentic database,
Yes. Yes.
and now kind of that entire stack is now kind of the default for many people, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
For example, Dharmesh, the CTO of HubSpot, recently talked about him shifting to TypeScript entirely. And he mentioned that he was a big Python guy, and he explained his reasons for going to TypeScript is the same programming language on front end and back end. All the worlds, because all the big uh, vibe coding tools are on Next.js and TypeScript based Next.js. So all of them are learned, like the rate of improvement in those that
Feel
stack
higher.
is will
Will
be
feel higher.
higher than
Yeah.
Python. So and now, like just like we had all these frameworks consolidate,
Mhm.
there will be frameworks for agentic AI as well. You can call them
They're
Loop,
already
you can
getting
call
built.
them
Let's say, let's
they're
say,
already getting built, but there will be a time when all of them will battle it out, and some will kind of become the de facto standards, right?
yeah, yeah,
But it's very interesting, and this is a very exciting part, right? That you are getting front row seats to all these harnesses being built, and this battle happening in real time.
yeah,
It doesn't happen like it's very nice when you get to see the technologies being built in your youth, when you have
yeah,
still have the energy to
yeah.
go deep into the technology. Like anyone listening to podcast, I can go to Gary Tan's G Stack
Mhm.
on GitHub.
Yeah,
There's so many ideas you can extract from there, right? So many beautiful concepts you
yeah,
can extract from there. Loop
yeah.
again, don't just use loop, go inside, go where that loop is defined, that skill is defined, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
really look at how it's working.
And I think the other thing about loops is, right, the cost of building a software is negligible right now, right? The cost of building a software is negligible. When we are doing the workshop, we use a platform that we built, and it because we were it like the experience of that was the we all 3.5 years of working in upskilling and understanding organizations and understanding everything that is happening over there, suddenly translating into technology in a couple of weeks. So clarity the clarity was important, and then when we translate that into sort of into the tech, it just becomes very easy. What I'm trying to get to here is that the cost of building the software is negligible right now, and so the importance of how thoughtful, or the rigor of agentic engineering, I think that is the real question that is in the matter, right? Because anyone can build software, anyone can set loops, and then build product out of it, but then where is the real value? How do we distinguish it? Because if everyone can do it, the value would be very, very less. And my current exploration and current understanding, and then the current stage that I'm in right now, and and the discussion that we're having, even with our tech team, is that how do we understand what does rigor mean in the world of agentic engineering, and that needs to be decoded. And once that is decoded, then I think like we'll have an answer to build software very, very fast. Okay, so I'm just reading what Pragalva has written here. I was wrapping my head around the last conversation. I've seen all the kinds of AI adoption, but the core principles still need to hold correct. One thing that has worked well for us is enforcing rules through CI and or the build fails locally. If AI or humans introduce mistake, the pipeline fails. That's different from tests alone, because AI can just justify weakening text to fit. Yeah, of course, like AI can do. I mean, we can't really trust AI to actually have control over everything, right? And exactly what you just mentioned is what I was talking about it as well. I was creating a file that was supposed to hold the way we put our architecture, and then suddenly realized no, I need to sit with my team completely to have this discussion, and then we're going to have a team meeting where we will spend like 4, 6, 8 hours depending on how much it takes to actually have every line of that document be absolutely intentional. Obviously AI generates that sort of that page, that document, that MD file, but then we want to be very intentional, and I think we will reach a point where all these documents that are intentionally made store the exact thing that needs to happen to the system. And then we can actually build very solid AI native systems around it. So that's where I am right now. I would not go the route of loops right now. I don't. I mean, like, obviously we use all of these tools, but then I don't go the route of the loops, because the intentionality is really matters. But then again, that's a perspective. People have gotten amazing results by using loop, but then it's just about how I think, and then the thought process that I'm having in this process. Yeah. Pragalpa, does it make sense to you? Anything that you want to just quickly add on the comments, if you want, till the Punit comes back. Yeah. So this is what Pragalpa was saying, for everyone to just have a look at. Oh, this is a cool feature, right? We can like bring it to the stream that people have.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, fancy.
I think we should very fancy. So what was the conversation?
No, the conversation was about loops, right? And it's a very interesting conversation.
Oh,
And then I was talking about what we discussed just before we left the afternoon about rigor, right? The idea of rigor is so different in the post AI world. The idea of rigor in the pre AI world, and then the idea of rigor in the post AI world is changed. For me, right now, the idea of rigor is the intentionality in the documents I write. Uh, Everything has to be perfect, and it needs to make sense. It cannot be AI slop that is going on the document. We need to make sure that everything is written that is exactly what we want, and then we build systems on top of it. So I think like files as a foundational layer for system to build, and then the if we go wrong in the intentionality of the foundation layer, it just goes wrong, right? It can go wrong anywhere.
and then I think it also goes back to kind of you give someone who is not intentional about their work all the right tools, and they will still do a bad job, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So someone who doesn't have the kind of the rigorous mindset, give them all the latest AI tools, and give someone non AI tools like pre AI tools, the photoshops and like pre AI web development tools, and the person with the pre AI tools will still do a better job than the person with the AI tools. It's so AI will not fix your bad habits.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
You can quote me on that. you know
Yeah,
AI, yeah,
yeah,
isn't it the AI will not fix, like AI will not make you a better professional
yeah,
unless you have the intention to become a better professional.
yeah, yeah.
So before even learning AI, I think there's two ways. We talked about two ways of learning AI. One is learning a broad range of AI tools,
Mhm.
and another is like going towards the foundations of like what is a skill, what is a knowledge, what is the LLM, what is a foundational model. Like
Yeah,
both vocabularies are important, number one.
very important. Yeah,
Number two, you also have to, one thing I think you have to come with the right intention of learning AI, which is to become a better professional. If you come with the intention of taking shortcuts,
yeah.
right? Let me find the coolest tool that will kind of help me hijack the process,
I mean, like the
or
time.
so yeah, like for example, someone who knows all the tools,
Yeah,
someone who also knows all the theoretical concepts, right?
yeah,
But does not come from the right place of I want to become a more thorough professional, I want to do good work, I want to become a good human being. They will still fail, right? All three pieces are important. That's what I'm trying to say.
yeah, yeah. I,
Just obsession with AI tools is not going to make you a better professional.
No, I think like the mental frame that I have is still to think it from a first principles point of view. We need to understand the atomic levels. I find that concept amazing. And then you know where I learned it. You know where like first like because our education, like obviously we studied in a very similar kind of engineering college in India, and then we know how the education in even in government colleges was there at that point of time. uh, I was studying GRE, and there's this like guy called Greg, I think his name is Greg, and that probably is like GRE GMAT. This guy teaches GRE is like in the best possible way possible. Everything is atomic. You can put things together, put things back, and then you can actually rehearse to become better in that process. And I think like the and that sort of principle is what is so needed in today's time, because the mental frame that I have is that the AI and LLMs of today is almost like you take iPhone 17 and then you drop it out of nowhere in 1990s, right? When we do not know how to use the touch, we do not know the swipe, we do not know how to use the touch, the apps. We have no idea about the vocabularies of it, and suddenly it lands. The only thing people would use it is to make a phone call, because somehow they would wrap their heads around it, but then everything else would not make a lot of sense, and then obviously there would be some hyper users who would go in that direction. I think LLMs are in a very very similar mode when it comes to business applications right now, and I think that
Mhm.
sort of translation is like so important in today's time.
Yes, but again, going back to the intent, right? Like
Yeah,
the intent is so important,
yeah,
uh, because we talked about this idea, right? If you come with the shortcut intent,
yeah,
then you will want to do a lot of work with one shot prompts.
yeah.
Give me a website for my accounting business, for
Oh my
example,
god.
right?
If you're doing
Uh,
this, don't do this. That has no value.
yeah, but a lot of people will get that idea that, I can give a prompt, and because that's the content that a lot of people are creating on TikTok.
Yeah, and
uh,
that's the discussion that we were having when Pragalva was giving giving his inputs. Anyone can build a software, right? I can build an accounting app. What do I do with that? Doesn't really make a lot of sense, and especially when we see in context of Nepal as well, right? Uh, if software is so easy to build, what do you build? Like you have been involved in an SIT, you have been exposed to the broader conversations about like what is happening with the policy and stuff like that. What do you think we should build in Nepal?
I think first, let me correct you. Software is easy to build.
In
I think
perception,
still not true.
in
Still
perception,
not true.
in perception, right? In
In
perception.
perception, yeah, yeah. Software is still hard to build. Good software is
Good
still hard to
software is
build.
incredibly hard to build because the idea of rigor has translated, right? But what I'm trying to say
Hmm.
is that the perception of I can build a software is there, right?
Yeah.
That perception is there in every non-technical person who's a little bit exposed to AI, right? Everyone is sort of having this conversation about, okay, what do we do with the tech team? Like do we need the tech team? Yes, no. All of that conversation is happening. So the
Hmm.
perception that I can do a lot with the technology is there, but the understanding of first principle is not. That is one. And then so again, like coming back to the question, when that sort of perception is there, and then we've been in an ecosystem where we're building softwares for someone else primarily. Obviously there are some great companies here in Nepal as well. uh, what do you think is the direction?
For Nepal,
Yeah.
one is there is a lot of software and hardware to be built that needs sovereignty,
Hmm.
right? Like for example, CCTV cameras.
Hmm.
Uh, right now, all of them are imported from China.
Yeah.
Fingerprint scanners,
Hmm.
right? So there's a kind of class of technologies where the fact that the hardware and software is sovereign means it can be a slightly lower quality than global standards,
Hmm.
but the fact that it is sovereign wins the race. Does
I,
that make sense in the
yeah,
market?
yeah, I agree.
So I think immediately kind of add a layer of sovereignty to all the software that we use, and hardware that we use, and and you suddenly create a massive market, right? Like for example, the market that Ting Ting is taking in
Yeah,
Nepal,
yeah, yeah.
right? Obviously 11 labs will always do a better job,
Hmm.
but then the fact that they're localized means that they can take a certain share, and in the process of building that process they've created great manpower as well.
Yeah.
that has like fine tuning ability, that understand the whole process of building a model from scratch, that understand the process of taking a product to market, all
Yeah.
of that, right? So they kind of built an amazing manpower in that process. If you look at third factor AI,
Yeah.
right, obviously there must be greater, like more powerful companies that can do that work, but
Yeah.
the fact that they are experts in sovereign AI, like
Yeah.
they can deploy that in the government software or government server, means that they can do. So one piece is, and even the language models, right?
Yeah.
Can we have a like Nepali language model,
I think that's,
homegrown language model
I think that's
that
very important. Yeah.
yeah.
Language models. I mean, uh,
So across the stack, like
mm,
from language models to applications to kind of fine-tuned multi-model systems, um, so all of that.
mhm,
Application layer could be, for example, uh, I recently ended up building kind of a prompt,
mhm,
or a skill that can reliably convert um, English language content that is heavily technical
mhm,
and can intelligently make decisions whether to transcribe or transliterate,
mhm.
transliterate or translate.
Yeah.
Because if you're talking about, like, if you're translating a very technical document that has words like AI, SaaS, right, cloud computing,
Mhm,
which ones do you transliterate or keep in English,
mhm,
and which ones do you translate? It becomes very tricky, right? So I ended up building that system,
mhm.
like these micro kind of skills, right, uh, that are specifically built for the Nepalese market, Nepalese context. So yeah, while we have appreciation for what people are doing globally, like for example we mentioned Loop, right?
Yeah.
I think if you're a Nepalese software developer, you should also be thinking about what can I open source
Mhm.
that is competent at the Nepali level. Just get into that habit of contributing, right? Because again, I said that once you apply the sovereignty layer on top of it, it does not need to be as high quality or as competitive, right? The fact that you, like for example, the whole question of that translator
Mhm.
skill that I talked about, that can take a technical document and decide what to transcribe and translate and what to transliterate. The number of people who can build that for Nepali is lesser than the number of people who can build that for English, right,
Mhm.
or for other languages.
Yeah.
So suddenly you've reduced the competition. If I were to open source that skill, automatically it would be useful for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I think there's one part, like you don't need to be over. That's what I'm trying to say, is you don't need to be overwhelmed
Yeah.
that anything I build, ChatGPT can copy or Anthropic can copy, right?
Mhm.
So there's one, you can apply the sovereign filter,
Yeah.
or the localization filter on anything, and you can build a competent business, right? Even if you look at kind of the IMS software, for example, or the restaurant management software, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, a system like Block
Mhm.
that Jack Dorsey creates, like if they came to Nepal, they would destroy the local software side. But they're not going to come because they're not going to be compatible with Nepal's like regulations, right? So again, you can always apply this sovereign filter on anything.
Mhm.
That has been applied on kind of software, enterprise software. Now you can apply it on top of AI as well and build lots of stuff. Anyways, I think I lost my track, but the point being, what can you do?
Yeah.
What can you do
I think.
today as someone who is budding
Yeah.
AI engineer, or someone who wants to contribute
Just,
in some way?
just want to quickly before I make my point. Just want to really appreciate Prakalpa as well for for being so active today and just engaging a lot. Um, I think my bet is on the on building deeper technology. It might come out, it might not. I think at this point of time, I care, of course, but then I want to give it a shot to actually build it, because when we are connected to the global value chain, especially in a sector like tech, I think we absolutely need to understand what is happening in the world, and we should actually give it a shot to actually see if what we build is usable. And then obviously, you've had this experience with programmers of people everywhere in the world using it, right? And I think like that is my bet. And obviously, anything that is sovereign is very very important. It's just like probably a matter of choice right now on
Yeah.
okay, like this is the moonshot that I want to claim, because it's probably going to be a great story, right? Like if we can crack what we're trying to do with tangible, like from Nepal. AI becomes accessible. We get a taste of the technology. And then we suddenly can create dots. And from a country whose ecosystem is, I don't know what percentage of what Silicon Valley is. We build that stuff. So that sort of journey is like very very exciting. And again, like some companies that you mentioned, let's say Ting Ting, I saw them starting to go to Sri Lanka and other countries.
Myanmar,
That's big respect, right? Big respect for a homegrown tech.
even Karobar, right? Yeah, they're big in
Even
Philippines
even
and
even
Bangladesh.
Karobar, right? Because it's technology, right? It can exist everywhere if you're compliant to the land, a law of the land. So yeah, I mean, like very exciting times. But then yeah, I think the generally the experience that both of us shared, and for the people who have made it, like like it's been an hour already, and then we see people here. I think it's like if we really want to grow right now, like it's a personal opinion. You need a sparring partner. One is AI, and one is a person who can actually like punch you through in this point of time, because what AI is definitely do is AI is exposing fertility's weakness and our areas where we absolutely need to improve, right?
Yeah.
Like there is no way to hide, to be honest, right? And then
You actually made a very important point.
Yeah.
I will share one experience.
Yeah.
So when I went to NIT Kurukshetra,
Yeah.
obviously my English, I was fortunate to study in Galaxy Public School. I had great English teachers, but I still wasn't very confident in English.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And what happened was I met a friend in college, and he like had studied in Delhi. He had this flawless
Yeah.
English. And what I told him was, his name is Adhar. I told him, Adhar, I want to improve my English. Can we do one thing? Whenever we talk, let's talk in English.
Mhm.
In English.
Okay.
We just made that agreement, and we became best friends. We ended up spending a lot of time together.
Yeah.
We drank a lot of cold coffee.
Yeah.
and we used to go on long walks. Meaning, like, so basically, like, we spent a lot of time together. But because of that contract of we will talk in English, I ended up, over the next 3 years, English kind of became a default
Yeah.
language for me, for which I was no longer doing a translation from Nepali to English every time I spoke.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's very important that if you want to learn anything, not just AI,
Yeah.
that you find someone who has the same goal, and then agree to spend time with that like regular time with that person.
Yeah.
For example, I talked about like the coffee conversations I have with Kailash
Yeah.
Badu, my friend, in
Yeah.
the morning, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to learn AI, yes, I talked about podcasts, and then I talked about kind of like your method of spending a lot of time with Claude,
Yeah.
right? And then this third method of learning, and then we also talked about kind of going broad, like exploring lots of AI technologies. Then we talked about like slash loop or G stack, and then going deep into kind of the GitHub and seeing what those people are doing. We talked about going on social media like X or Twitter, and then seeing what people on the edge are doing. We talked about all of these learning methods.
Yeah.
But by far the best way to learn best first principles is to have a sparring partner. I totally agree.
Yeah.
And I think you can have like if anybody listening to this podcast, just find someone who is open to actively challenging you.
Yeah.
Who actively challenges you on other aspects of life.
Yeah.
And kind of decide on a time to meet every day, and just decide that you're going to talk about AI.
Yeah.
Right. The conversations will start random, obviously. They
Yeah.
will not have a lot of depth.
Yeah.
But over time, I think it's also nice to have someone to kind of share what you learned the previous day.
Yeah.
Right. And that also like makes the learning more exciting, right? Oh,
Yeah.
wait till I show this to Alok tomorrow. It almost becomes like a race, right? Like,
Yeah.
because you are with someone who is learning at a very fast pace.
Yeah.
And then that pressure also adds up, right?
Mm.
On you.
Yeah.
this healthy pressure.
Yeah.
Versus if you're doing it alone, you can get into that echo chamber that you talked about, where you feel like the smartest person in the room, and then you don't know whether even in running, there is a concept of a pacer, right, who runs in front of you.
Yeah.
If you're going to break a world record, like you have a pacer.
I'm so happy you are giving analysis from running right now. I hope that translates into real life as well.
But the point being, like there is this idea of kind of someone who paces you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I think you need to find the Adhar and the Aloks and the Kailashes in your life, who is like kind of, do you have a sparring partner who is co-learning this with you,
Yeah. Yeah. And
or co-building something with you?
and that's very important, like especially also with especially with while building tangible. I spend a lot of time with Bishes there as well. The moment we've started having our meetings with Claude and us building, and then
Mm.
the experience has just suddenly elevated a lot as well. And then Bishes has this, like obviously, like everyone who knows Bishes would know the rigor Bishes has. And then
Right.
like we turn a whisper flow, he starts talking to Claude, and then the prompt is like 2.5 pages prompt that comes in, right? And so just to see that also is like a bit of a learning experience as well, and then the same vice versa.
And
And
then
the same experience.
one last thing before kind of we can wrap up is, you're building, for example, you're building a software,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that software touches HR, legal,
Yeah.
like in a bank, for example,
Yeah.
right? All right, think about who is a stakeholder in the building of this software, or the use or deployment of this software.
Yeah.
You talk about, all right, legal,
Yeah.
HR, um like a teller, for example,
Yeah.
right? They're going to use it, like
Yeah.
6 people. And now, because the theme was AI that works, and we kind of drifted to learning AI a lot more.
Yeah.
But if you're building AI that works, now we have this opportunity where these 6 people, what used to happen in the old world is the tech guy used to build something, then the IT guy used to say, oh no, this is not what we want.
Yeah.
This whole cycle of kind of not building the right thing.
Yeah.
Now the opportunity was just like what we did at Program is today, right?
Yeah.
Everybody who is a stakeholder in the process, even the customer,
Yeah.
can be in the room. We can open up one big screen,
Yeah.
and then all of us can co-build, like the one guy can be prompting, and then again, because it's English,
Yeah.
everyone understands that language of what the tech guy is doing. This is also an important aspect, right?
Yeah.
Before, not everybody could see the code and understand what was happening, but now, because even the tech guy is prompting,
Yeah.
even the legal guy, even the compliance guy, even the HR person, they are also able to see what the tech person is doing.
Yeah.
This is also a huge unlock if you think about it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I really like this idea of co-building with the software now.
Yes.
Co-building with the customer.
Yeah.
You can literally open your screen in front of the customer and like,
That. I mean, like in the workshop, it happened, right? Like people who were struggling with the files, and then they wanted a name. They were not able to locate. We pushed it right from there itself. I mean, like that.
Yeah.
That's the level in which you can operate with, even with customers, right? So
Yeah.
just wanted to address what Hardik has just said. If you want to take a shot at it, because I would have a lot of things to say on it. I wanted to ask, what's your opinion on, is it possible to make an AI powered company brain sorry, I'll bring it back again, that knows everything about your company and helps your employees to boost overall productivity? Like, thoughts?
um it's very tempting to do this.
Mhm.
um but I think it's very tempting to do this, and you're looking at kind of I think the question comes from a place of, how do I make my organization more productive, right?
Mhm.
And I'm very biased because, again, I run the workshop with you. But I think before you start thinking of the company brain, I think the first step should be more education, because I saw that when we went on an AI native journey with programmers, we actually started doing the same thing, right?
Yeah.
We thought of, all right, let's transfer our knowledge to a system.
Yeah.
And then when we started doing it, we realized that a lot of the fundamental concepts of generative AI, and like the pieces that we talked about, LLM, the skills, the knowledge base, context, AI agents, workflows.
Yeah.
They were not clear, and we faced a lot of friction from the team, from everyone.
Yeah.
Uh, so there's no point of having an organizational brain if people don't have the right frame
Yeah.
of how to use it, of how it works. So I think yes, the organization brain can be built, and we are seeing that in some of the banks we are consulting as well.
Yeah.
They have done that. They have already built the organization brain. They have put it on whatever tech stack they're using, right? But nobody knows how to use it,
Yeah.
or there's no adoption at all. When we asked people in our workshop, have you been using the company knowledge assistant,
Mhm.
people said no, right?
Mhm.
So I think if you want to balance the, like, if you really want to build a company brain,
Yeah.
before building the, you should be building the company brain, but you should also be investing in training your employees on what, like, all the fundamental principles of AI, so that when they use the company brain, they use it with intention.
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing.
Okay, so I'm gonna share my understanding on this as well, and then there is a bit of a spectrum. So I think, Hardik, the first question about um, how to boost overall productivity, I think that sort of question we have to shelve that question, because when we ask the question about how to make it more productive, the answer would become how do we do work fast in the current structure. So when we ask that sort of questions, we start failing, because the way the technology is, first is about understanding, as Punita is also mentioning, the intention, what we need, what is the kind of talent that we need, and then we need to put that together first to really start thinking from there, right? And then the other thing is, to make a company brain is actually about building a lot of your knowledge and skills files that you have in the organization, and putting in what we talked earlier as a system of record. In the way, it could be a folder structure, it could be any sort of structure, depending on the complexity of what you are dealing with. Once we have that structure, then the intelligence layer that we have, as like, Gemini, and then Anthropics, and then the chat GPTs, they can run through that, the skills files and knowledge files, and then interact with the people that we have in the organization. But that is stage two. The stage one is really understanding, okay, now I have AI, what is the exact team structure that I need? Because once we don't have the answer to that, the other becomes it just becomes a lot of mess to actually manage. So as Punita was also mentioning, a lot of education and a lot of transition management as well, because suddenly, because I've noticed in my team as well, suddenly some roles become irrelevant, and then we've had to have the conversation, okay, now this is not making sense, how do we move you to a different sort of role? So all of that is happening. Yeah, and then what memory dot memory.md, I just realized that the name. I think it's 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 not really just about data set. It is about how intentionally we put our information, and then run LLMs on top of it. But what is very, very important to actually solve is the chat system that we use, right? So if we are using WhatsApp for company communication right now, it is very, very difficult to actually run through and then create the brain and then
Hmm.
engage and then build and stop that. The chat layer is absolutely critical. So let's say if you're using Slack, that's good. And Punit, I don't know if you'll agree or not, but then using Teams is also a really, really good idea.
Yeah, much better than WhatsApp, because it
Much
has
better,
hierarchy,
much
it
better
has
than WhatsApp.
access, it has figured out, like, the
Yeah.
layers of
No,
kind of
so memory is saying WhatsApp
enterprise.
API, right? Yes, WhatsApp API, but the way Slack and Teams can help you with context management, that is very, very difficult with WhatsApp still, right? And then the other thing about that is, when we build co-workers, that is very, very difficult to run through on WhatsApp, to have the visibility of the entire organization on an interface, because WhatsApp is not built to actually do that kind of like professional communication, the way Slacks and the circles and then the teams of the world is like sort of built. So that's the take. Again, this is an area that like this is the area where I think I've spent a lot of time in the last 2.5 years. So there is so much more I can think of. But then generally, I think understanding understanding what the kind of people that you need that will do the transition with you, having the chat system, having the systems of record, defining the skills and knowledge files really well. I think that sort of already creates some kind of a company brain that you can keep on interacting with.
Right. But I think the three kind of pieces that you need is you need a chat system like Teams or Slack, where kind of you can create bots
Yeah,
that act as agents.
yeah,
You need raw intelligence, the Gemini, Claude, XYZ, and then you need something like NA10 where you can run and keep track of kind of tasks, right?
yeah.
Um and you need something like a Notion or a Google Drive that can store the knowledge of your company.
Yeah, the
Uh,
all these systems have to be absolutely AI native. Let's say, for example, even for let's say for project management, the switch, let's say for example, something like Trello to let's say a linear, like the AI nativeness of the platform really matters. And then I
yeah,
think the answer to AI nativeness you'll pretty much get in Claude as well. So if you open the connector and then the platforms that you see that Claude is already connecting to, I think these are
yeah,
the most AI native platforms
100%,
that
100.
are there
So
right
yeah,
now.
my ideal stack. I think my ideal stack is if a company is operating on this stack, I already like you, which is if you are on Slack, Gmail,
Yeah.
Claude, NA10, and Linear. I love you.
Thank you, Dai. See?
You've set up the right base. Did I mention Notion in that
No,
group?
no, you didn't.
Maybe
Yeah,
I
no.
forgot. Okay, Notion. So kind of if you're on this tool stack, you are ready to jump on AI, right? Uh, because all of these technologies fit
Yeah,
so well together. Or if you could be a complete like Microsoft stack, that's also okay.
yeah,
Or you could be a complete Google stack, that's also okay, because all of these companies will eventually end up building each piece of the ecosystem.
yeah.
But I think Slack is great, like is the best
Slack is wonderful.
communication tool. Linear is
Slack
the
is wonderful.
best
Project.
project management tool. So and if you're a startup, I think you will gravitate towards these independent tools. If you're a bigger company, you start gravitating towards one tool stack for your entire company, which makes sense, right?
Which makes sense.
I can't imagine Nabil Bank
That is
having to
right.
pay, like a bank having to pay for Slack and then pay for Claude and then having to pay for something else and managing the compliance of all these vendors, right? It would
Yeah.
be a complete
And
mess.
that's one of the reasons why I see Microsoft to be an absolute winner. I think it is going to be an
Absolutely.
absolute winner because Google doesn't have a great chat. Google doesn't have a great chat, right?
Yeah,
Microsoft has obviously it's like obviously all of us like especially from the tech community will feel that it's not the best system, but I think anyone can mark my word for agentic AI implementation. They have all the pieces in place, right?
absolutely. And they have SharePoint.
SharePoint.
Nobody mentions SharePoint.
Yeah,
SharePoint is the dark horse
yeah,
of, like it's the Ekka, it's the ace of Microsoft.
yeah, yeah.
Nobody likes it, but you need it.
So if you are a company in Nepal, get Teams. Forget everything else.
uh, if you're a big company, but if
If you
you're
are
a
a big company.
smaller like fast moving startup, okay, I think we can wrap up on this,
Yeah,
because you know what happens when you go for Slack, Notion, like this stack,
yeah,
is your engineers and your teammates go through this journey of using the best tool for each task
yeah.
in the world, and when and that raises their expectations of what software should do. I
Hmm.
think the problem with a
Yeah,
younger startup
yeah,
that's getting started going on Teams is
yeah,
it's so buggy
yeah,
that your expectation of how seamless a software should be lowers,
yeah, yeah.
and then you kind of get used to, oh, bugs are okay,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
Or software being not being at the highest quality is okay,
yeah.
which makes sense for an enterprise. Like if you're inside a bank, or like the compliance and kind of the cohesiveness of the software is more important than the user experience,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
uh, and the bugs get eventually fixed because there's an IT department to help you out.
yeah.
The onboarding issues that like Teams has, all of this, I don't know why they can't fix, like, I don't know why can't they fix. and someone's ability to join a link, public link, and just join a call. It's just mind blowing to me that Teams can't fix that. Teams can't fix, like, the onboarding flow is completely broken. I can't invite someone to Teams very easily. Still,
Yeah,
they're number one. They're much bigger than Slack. So,
yeah. And so
enterprise is a different game.
and so ready for agentic implementation for sure.
So ready, yeah,
So ready,
100%.
so ready.
So yeah, if you're a startup, go for the stack I told you. If you're a bigger enterprise, go for either Microsoft or Google.
Yeah,
Pick
but
one.
Google doesn't have a good chat. That's the problem, right?
But then you can still have Slack. Like, you can have everything else Google, and then you can have Slack.
Oh my God, these are big questions. Thoughts on SpaceX, OpenAI, Anthropic IPO? Good for them, man. Like, what can I
Good for them, yeah. Make all the money you want. Enjoy.
Okay. Okay, so we have to wrap up, but then I would definitely want to read what Pragalpa has just written. I'm okay. So he's saying, I'm diverging from the conversation again. There is another NBM supply chain incident. Blah, 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 he is mentioning. The scary part is that the package could steal. My question is, how are companies supposed to think about product security? Yes, that's the big question, right? I think I remember Replit's CEO posting recently, and then Pukar had reposted it as well. And that's how like it appeared on my LinkedIn profile, that till 2026 every company is an AI company. Post 2026 every company is a security company, because everyone is building like their own softwares, and then there
Yeah.
is so much AI enablement. But then I think that's the next piece, and again that's the conversation that to have with our dev team, and probably that's the future of engineering, right? The product is getting built very very fast. Founders, technical, non-technical, everyone is pushing it. So the role of the engineering team sort of becomes very heavy around security, right?
Right.
Like, how do we, and then the frameworks are not really very evident already, and that's the direction everything is headed. I think 2026 is the year where people are starting to think about security. But then I think I think that's a top priority of the engineering team, because let's say for example a founder who is non-technical can still push features, but then the security is a totally different beast to understand and
Yeah.
implement, right? Okay,
Security and
awesome.
privacy.
Security and privacy, right? Install release infrastructure to be used to ship malices. Yeah. I think that's the perspective, Pragal, on what you just shared. Okay, I didn't think it would be 1.5 hours, and then I didn't think that we would have all the people stay who are here. I'm so proud of ourselves.
Yeah.
And thank you so much.
I
Thank you
think this
so
was a great format to try.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for spending 1.5 hours together with us. Hopefully, there was some value for you, and yeah, I mean, we hope to see you soon, whenever they're online or offline. Okay, take care. Okay, bye bye.
Bye bye.